A little bit late, but we always on time. That's all that matters. We welcome to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. I'm one of the hosts here, Hayes. I'm joined by Gifted himself. What's going on, Gifted?
What's good? What's good? What's good? We back. A lot is happening. NBA basketball is very close, Hayes. It's extremely close.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we got preseason games going on. We got trade rumors and stuff already starting, and propaganda and whatnot. So we got some stuff to talk about. We're gonna be getting back to 3 episodes a week here sooner rather than later. But yeah, we got a special guest coming on today. We'll wait on him to make his arrival. ZZ's gonna be popping in here as well. But we can go ahead and start off. Gifty, you always eating, bro. You got to keep that metabolism up. I see you, my boy. I see you.
I be trying.
But with that said, Gifted, man, we'll start off with the Jimmy Butler, the title topic, man. So it was reported by Bleacher Report that that many NBA execs feel that Jimmy Butler could be the next star player traded in the NBA. I mean, we could get into teams and stuff if you want to that could make sense for Jimmy Butler, but just overall, this whole thing that's kind of gone down between the Miami Heat, basically just Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler. Pat Riley kind of firmly stating in his opinion and his feel as far as like maybe not paying Jimmy Butler that money. They've already kind of started making the moves to maybe start building around Bam Adebayo, things like that. Do you think this could be the right move for the Miami Heat moving on from Jimmy, or do you think this could be something that they regret later down the road? If it happens.
Oh boy. I gotta say, Hayes, this is explosive because remember, all offseason we've been waiting on, are they going to get the extension done or not? And it hasn't gotten done. And we understand that when that's not done and you're a older player like a Jimmy Butler, you want to get that contract figured out as soon as possible, especially with his injury histories. So for it to not have shapen and taken place yet, he could very well be on the move. And if you're Miami, that's crazy. Like your best franchise player for the most part is not going to potentially be there for you for the next coming seasons if you don't get the extension signed. So I think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think a part of this is they're both very strong-willed people. Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler are extremely strong-willed players, people, and that's why this hasn't gotten done yet. It also speaks to why they've had so much success because that's who Miami has been as a team. So it's very weird that nothing's happened with that yet, and I am concerned about what that could lead to long term.
Yeah. What's going on, ZZ? Glad to have you in the building, brother. We started off talking about Jimmy Butler, man. How do you feel about these rumors of Jimmy Butler could be on the move? Do you think this is a smart decision by Pat Riley to decide to not give Jimmy Butler that money? Or you think Pat Riley's making a short-sighted decision? If it ends up happening, do you think it's a short-sighted decision by Pat Riley?
I think that Pat Riley knows that he needs to give Jimmy Butler his money. I think Pat Riley knows that there's no one in Miami that shouldn't get money other than Jimmy Butler. For me, when that press conference shit was going on where Pat, was just like, if you're not talking, if you're not playing, you don't need to be talking. When that happened, I was like, okay, Pat, true. However, the one common denominator to your success in the last 5 years has been Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. You cannot look at anyone else on the team other than Jimmy and say, you know what? Not only did you surpass anybody's expectations of how far we could go in the postseason as an 8th seed, as a 4 seed, doesn't matter. You surpassed everybody's expectations while knocking down the best teams, quote unquote, in the league or in the conference en route to us.
You muted, Z.
Yeah, heads up. You just muted yourself.
Damn. So the only thing that you can look at as to why they didn't get it done is why didn't Pat Riley get it done during the offseason? Why didn't Pat Riley get it done during the trade deadline to bring in another reliable option? Because as you can see, the formula with Jimmy is working. We just don't have a ring to show for it. Why is that? Because we're planning for how we can beat the Eastern Conference teams and not planning for how we can beat a team in the Western Conference that is arguably going to probably end up making the finals at the start of the season, like a Denver Nuggets team in 2023, like a Los Angeles Lakers team in 2020. Like Pat Riley has put pieces around Jimmy for the short term that have paid off in these little spurts. And then by the end of it, you look back and you say, damn, what happened to Max Strus? What happened to Caleb Martin? What happened to Gabe Vince? Oh, they're gone. Why? Because y'all couldn't keep them long term. So what they were able to do for you was great during your run, but you won't be able to have that next year. So what do? When Dame's on the market and available and you could, buy those sweepstakes, what do? You give us Terry Rozier. All respect to Terry Rozier, but that ain't Damian Lillard, right? That's not what Miami Heat fans were really expecting to get in terms of a second reliable option, a superstar looking for a home. They bring home Terry Rozier. Crazy work. So Pat Riley has got to look himself in the mirror and say, if Jimmy ends up leaving, I guess I got to get ready to start tanking, because ain't no way that just Bam is going to be able to get that done. And before long, Bam going to be like, I'm kind of tired of this shit too. And he going to end up bouncing up out of there. That's how I feel about it.
I think it's like a weird thing because Miami's never been a team to openly tank as much as possible.
Mhm.
I think in the future, without Jimmy Butler, they would really be relying on Bam to be their franchise guy, potentially attract a couple free agents. Anytime we talk about a free agent, Miami is always a name or destination that pops up, but they never have like the cap space to actually get it done. If Jimmy's gone in this instance, we're talking about a couple of other teams that could potentially unload their star player to Miami. That's possible. I just feel like the infrastructure in Miami is so good. Spoelstra is going to be a lifelong coach with this Heat team. There are people who would consider coming to Miami, especially if there's room for them to be the number one player and not have to play second fiddle all the time to Jimmy Butler or to Bam. So I'm very interested in how this overall shapes up, especially since the season hasn't started yet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. But like essentially with Miami, it's the same story over and over and over again. Like every start of the season, they're just saying, you know what, we may have lost some pieces to the group last year, but we're gonna run it back for sure with this core that consists of Tyler Hero not being able to stay healthy or play elite basketball for a consistent stretch of time when he is. That those have been issues for Miami in the past few years. And then when you look at Jimmy Butler, you're not expecting much of him from the regular season. Hell, you're not even expecting him to be in MVP conversations. What you're expecting is that 22 a game in the regular season to convert to 29 a game in the postseason. That's what you're expecting, essentially. And when you look at it, for the most part, Jimmy's delivered on his end, bringing y'all to the Eastern Conference Finals and then to the NBA Finals on multiple occasions. So he's done his part. You got to think, what more is there for Jimmy to do given the circumstances of what he's been given? Like, can we fault, like, we would be quick to fault Giannis Antetokounmpo if having Damian Lillard by his side resulted into nothing, the same way we did Kevin Durant for having James Harden and Kyrie Irving by his side, and it resulted in nothing. Like, those are things that Jimmy Butler can't even experience because y'all aren't giving him anybody other than Bam Adebayo, who's phenomenal in his role and what he provides for that team. But he's not the second option. He's supposed to be the third. You're supposed to be bringing Jimmy Butler. Like, Jimmy Butler, a player of his caliber, would be thriving next to Joel Embiid, but Philly dropped the ball on that one. A player of Jimmy Butler's caliber playing with a 2024 Karl Anthony Towns compared to a 2019 Karl Anthony Towns would flourish, right? So he's had these opportunities. Teams have dropped the ball on him, and he's done nothing but surpass expectations for people that have given up on him. So at the very least, like I said, Pat Riley, at this point, it isn't about what Jimmy owes you or owes Miami. It's about what Miami owes Jimmy Butler, the man that should get a statue, should have a statue outside of Miami for what he's done there in his amount of time.
A statue is that's a lot to say statue.
Right, I am pushing it.
You ain't win no championship.
If you won that title, that'd be different. If you won that title, yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Y'all both right. X that out. I got a little excited.
But you did get a little excited. Yeah.
I mean, let me put it like jersey retirement. How about that? Think about it. Miami, what have you had? Wade, Alonzo Mourning, LeBron, Jimmy with 2 finals appearances, one as the 8th seed and the other as the 4th seed.
I kind of want to ask Heat fans how they feel about that, because it's like, I get it, but the years haven't really been there as much. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's had great accomplishments, so I think in that vacuum, sure, maybe, but I don't think he's been there super long either, though.
He's been, what, 5 years?
Something like that. That sounds about right.
5 years, two trips to the finals, multiple conference finals appearances. I mean, shit.
I mean, I mean, I get it, but yeah, I don't know about a jersey retirement. But
Should think
I
about this.
mean,
Derrick Rose. Hold on, Hayes. I didn't mean to cut you off, but think about this. Derrick Rose gonna get his jersey retired in Chicago for the
that's the
MVP
thing.
for
They're
the
not going to
Eastern
retire
Conference
his
Finals.
jersey either.
You don't think so?
That they don't retire
Ooh.
jerseys.
You're right.
The Bulls don't
They
retire.
don't.
They announced a while ago they aren't going to retire. Now he'll get inducted into the Ring of Honor that the Bulls just started, but I don't know if they'll retire. They should retire because nobody's ever can wear number 1 in Chicago again.
Facts.
Right.
I agree.
So
I hear that.
But then there's the business aspect of this thing with Miami, and this may be what Pat Riley's looking at. Because honestly, if you are to re-sign Jimmy Butler for max level money, what does that do? Can you realistically put a team around him? The Miami Heat right now can have considerable cap space again in 2026-27, that summer of 2026. If they just looking at this, go at that season, the only players that they'll have under contract are Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Khalil Ware, and a couple of other role players. So maybe it gets to the point where Pat Riley's looking at the business aspect of this and just you got to, and this is a point that almost every franchise they'll be lucky enough to get to, is that you have to ask yourself, all right, we can re-sign this guy, but then what realistically are we competing for at that point? And the Miami Heat may be looking at this and saying, hey, it's best to clear the deck. Let's move Jimmy right now while he has another year under his contract, which is what is a player option, so he can get out of that if need be. Let's take advantage of that and get something else while we're trying to maybe build something around Bam and to see what we can do there. Maybe. I don't know exactly.
I like what Hayes is saying, because what we often do is we talk about everything Butler's done for them, but we also got to be honest. Butler not playing at a high level consistently during the regular season puts Miami in a mode where they're always scrambling to be the 5th or 4th seed, whatever that is. And normally, if you're a lower seed, you play harder competition, which leads to your best players being injured or very stretched thin by the time you make it to either the conference finals or the finals. And almost all the time we say, damn, Miami had his great run, but they're running out of gas when it matters most consistently now. So to me, as good of a player as he is, can you justify paying him the max amount of money he wants while still having a good enough basketball team to win? Maybe not. Yeah, and I think that they're demanding more out of Jimmy because he's openly said before he does not care about regular season. I think it would be different if he gave the effort consistently and just got hurt, but he's getting hurt, and also the effort is a clear shift compared to the regular season and the playoffs. They need more from him.
They do.
That, and Jimmy is not much. I'm not saying he's falling off a cliff, but you're starting to see the slide in Jimmy Butler. And that's not a slight to him. He came in the league as what? He was the 30th pick in the draft. What Jimmy Butler's been able to do at being the 30th pick in the first round and the career that he's been able to have, you cannot take that away from him. But he's 35 years old. And he's already started to slip. He doesn't have the same lateral quickness that he did before. He's still a damn good defender, but he isn't the defender that he was even 5 years ago. And you're starting to see that mortality in it. And when you get to that point as a franchise, you got to ask yourself the tough questions. I get it. Does Jimmy deserve a max deal? I say for what he gave to that franchise, yeah. But it's not always about what you deserve in this league. It just isn't.
Mm-hmm. See, that's my thing. Too, I get that part. With Jimmy, you got to also think, too, because what is he, 35, 34 now?
Yep.
He's 35. So he's in that space where Paul George is in, where Klay Thompson's in, where it's all right, this is the last good deal I'm going to get in terms of long-term financial stability on a sustainable contract, right? So they're going to look at that, and they're going to say, okay, now it's all about the destination. You see Klay Thompson in Dallas. You see Paul George in Philly with Joel Embiid. For Jimmy Butler, I feel like he's going to have to get to that point as well when you have to look at it. Like you said, it's a business side of things. So I think that there won't be any hard feelings in that regard. But like y'all said, I mean, if you're trying to find that long-term stability, especially in a couple of years, if you want to just be able to be comfortable in terms of what you're looking for to bring to the team, then yeah, I'm with you on that. If that's the case, then for Jimmy Butler, he's going to have to start looking around like PG and Clay as to who you want to pair up with. Who do you think will be the star that you need or the team that you need or whatever, because you can't reciprocate Heat culture. That's one thing that I have learned in the last 10 years. You can't reciprocate that. You can have players that are built from that or molded by that, but you can't reciprocate that. where everybody's locked in for the common goal of just bettering not only themselves, but the team, the organization, all of that. So Jimmy's going to take that with him somewhere, and he has a combative personality, as you've seen from teams in the past. But it's all because he wants to win, which is why I've always been ride or die for Jimmy, because he just wants to win at the end of the day, under any circumstance. So he's in that spot right now, and like you said, Hayes, like you saw a little bit of the decline, and you're seeing it in certain areas that we once praised him at 4 years ago, right? So it'll be interesting to see, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Toby comment is a great point, because that is literally what's happening, right? Like, he finds mismatches pretty well, but he's getting older. He's more of a downhill player. What Jimmy does deserve credit for, though, is in recent campaigns, his spacing has gotten better year after year, and that's going to be the thing that really determines how much value you can have in the later stages of his career. But if Miami is to pivot, now would be the time to pivot, because there's another team who had Paul George, didn't want to keep him, let him stay on the roster and lost him for nothing. If you're Miami, you cannot allow that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Any teams off the top of your guys' head that you want to discuss as possible situations that would make sense for Jimmy Butler? You don't have to get into the intricacies of the trade to make it work, but just any teams off the top of your head you think could be interesting, Jimmy.
What could fit a Jimmy Butler? What team?
I got one. You mind if I start? Especially considering if they do want to make a move on some of the contracts that they have, I think the Denver Nuggets will make a lot of sense for Jimmy Butler if they.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I'll make a lot of Jokic and Jimmy Butler make a lot of sense together. Yeah. For sure. This is gonna be an odd team, I say, but I like the basketball fit in terms of if they can win or not. Really depends on if they can better the team around them. But I think Jimmy and Trey make a lot of sense. A lot of sense. I think he's like the wing type that can basically create. It takes pressure off of I would say, Jalen Johnson to have to become that person. And then Trey has a star perimeter defensive player as well. The problem is really the roster around them and if that's good enough or not. But I think the basketball fit makes a lot of sense.
For me, it's the Bucks. And the swap that I would make is, tell me what y'all would think of Damian Lillard, Giannis, and Jimmy. Not Dame, Giannis, and Chris Middleton, but Dame, Giannis, and Jimmy Butler. Now, look, you got to think about it. You look at a player like Chris Middleton and what he was known for even in their championship run, right? Mm-hmm. He was a great two-way option for a player at his position with the ability to knock down shots at sometimes a Michael Jordan efficiency and other time a Killian Hayes efficiency. But he always had that medium of being able to play defense and being a long wing defender. You have Jimmy Butler, a guy that is at this point in his career, you could say is a reputation defender with a few slips, but he still has the ability to play elite level defense when giving the effort. And then offensively, especially come playoff time, we want to talk about consistency in a lesser role where you just need a bucket or somebody that can just go Super Saiyan alongside Damian Lillard from the perimeter. If Jimmy get hot, shit, that's a recipe for success right there. That's a big three. That's a different big three.
I mean, your cap space is finished though. Golly.
Oh hell yeah!
Giannis, Dame, and Jimmy.
They better win a title. Listen, Cap's done.
Cap cooked to oblivion. That's all in or all out. Like that's
and also the thing with this too is like, do they keep Bobby Portis in that move? Move because Bobby Portis and Jimmy Butler on the same team in the playoffs. Somebody's getting in a fight. And I'm not saying with each other. I mean, opposing teams are gonna hate coming up against those.
I mean, that might be good for the culture too. Like, dogs and whatnot.
Yeah, that's for sure. Toby's killing it today. Says I think Houston would benefit from Jimmy. They're at odds for paying both Sengun and Green, and you turned Dylan Brooks into Jimmy on a 4-1 win team last season. Hey, listen, that could make, especially if they do end up deciding, all right, we're gonna go with Sengun. We don't think Green's gonna be part of our future, and you flip. That's not a bad move at all on there. A lot of people are saying Memphis in the chat as well. How you guys feel about Memphis?
Memphis it'd be tough. I could see it. But who are Ja, Bane, JJJ, and Jimmy.
Who are they keeping? Are they going to have all four of those?
Who are they going to keep?
That doesn't seem realistic to me to have all four.
Who would y'all get rid of in that scenario? Chat happened on that too. Out of the two, because John ain't going nowhere. Desmond Bain and JJJ.
I don't think I'm trading either
I
of them
don't
for
think
Jimmy
any
Butler.
of those guys going. The thing that I think you're trying to sell them on, if you're trying to make that move, is Marcus Smart definitely has to go, and and probably picks.
Marcus Smart and picks for Jimmy.
I mean, it's not going to work financially.
Yeah.
Money wise, you have to flip one of the big. No. I wouldn't say Memphis. I like Houston because of the idea that they're making a choice between the cap. They're going for another defensive tilt against a defensive head coach for a Rockets team who was 7 in defense last year without Tari Eason, and also the free agency and the cap space they'll have by not having all the players on the roster. They could just get a much better team revamped around them, with Jimmy Butler being a guy to bring people to Houston.
Yeah.
That's the same too. Listen, it'll be interesting to see if it does happen, man. I think that could be especially something to keep your eyes on, that could shift and tilt, especially as you get closer to the trade deadline. That could really kind of tilt the playoff race or anything like that. But before we get out of this topic, just to bring it home, percentage chance that you think Jimmy Butler is still a member of the Miami Heat at the end of the season?
I'm gonna go with 60%.
Okay.
I'll go 65.
80% chance. I don't think he's going to be moved. 80%.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's going to be moved.
I don't feel he's going to be moved.
It's
great to talk about, but I don't think he's going to be moved.
I feel like if he is to get moved, this regular season is going to depict a lot of what the changes are going to be for Miami going forward. Because for me, you can't I can't imagine Pat Riley sitting there and looking at what the Knicks are doing and looking at what the Bucks are doing and the Celtics and the Sixers, looking at what they have done to their teams in order to just contend for a championship. The Celtics went all out, got a monster group of role players, all-stars, and perimeter players, franchise players. Philadelphia built and took somebody like Tyrese Maxey and continued to trust and mold him into the second option next to Joel Embiid, right? Going to go get Paul George, going to go down out of their way to get veterans like Andre Drummond and Eric Gordon while retaining Kelly Oubre, right? Like, you look at all the other franchises and it's like they're making the moves for, like, you can just tell that they're going for the chip. Miami is banking at this point on Jimmy Butler for any of their success. So I'm hoping that Jimmy stays healthy all season, but like if the Heat are the 5th seed, 6th seed, get bounced out in the first round, he's gone by July. Like he's gonna be out of there. I don't know. It's everything is banking on this season, and it couldn't be worse timing for Miami considering what the other teams have been doing. So
yeah,
we're gonna see who make a move.
We'll see. But moving on from that into the next topic, man. Another player in the state of Florida who just got a contract extension is Wendell Carter Jr. Gets a 3-year, $59 million contract extension. Immediately turns around and gets an ankle injury.
Crazy work.
Just listen, the writers of the NBA are killing themselves right now. He is listed as day-to-day, so it's not anything that's super that seems like it's going to be long-term. 25 years old. How do you guys feel about the value of that contract, the 3-year, $59 million extension for Wendell Carter? This is a guy that I didn't know if the Orlando Magic were gonna re-sign him or not, maybe move him, something like that, which I guess this deal doesn't necessarily keep them from moving him at some point. If they do decide to do so, it actually may get them more assets if they move him, because now he's locked into a contract and a team that will acquire him doesn't have to worry about that. But what do you guys think about the deal? Grade the deal.
Man, I feel bad that he got hurt almost immediately. That's rough. But I do think this speaks to what Orlando is trying to do, where they're able to get their players at a good enough bargain to where they're not overpaying for players. I think regardless of what you think about his value as a player, Wendell Carter, after he got traded by the Bulls, was very good for this team. I think last year was a real up and down year for him, but I still think his value is really somewhere a bit higher than this contract, and they got him where that's a very low contract. I mean, if you just prorate for what's coming up, to me, it's not the money, it's the cap hole. Like, how much of the cap is he eating up? And obviously, at that number, it's not going to be a lot with all of the numbers going up.
10% of the cap.
Damn.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's
for Wendell
that's
Carter.
mid-level exception money, basically, is what it comes down to. So,
and I think he's pretty much around that range based off of his injuries. I think in terms of like his true potential as a player, he could be slightly over that, but that's pretty good value. You didn't overpay. My biggest thing with these teams are you overpaying for the player or not that you are extending? They did not overpay. So I don't really hate it.
I looked at it when you said, was it 50? You said 56 or 59 million?
59 million.
59 million. Yeah, for three-year deal.
Yeah, 3 year.
Yeah, they're chilling. He's chilling.
This is a bit unrelated, by the way, but like I'm still trying to understand, like, what does Jonathan Isaac think gaining 50 pounds is going to help his game at? Because he's not a 5, he's a 4.
Yeah.
I'm just so confused about it. I'm sorry. I know that's like way off topic, but I'm just thinking about like.
I mean, I agree. Jonathan Isaac, who turned himself into one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA, you think adding that much weight is going to stop your mobility out on the wing? He turned into a really good. I don't know what his defensive statistics were guarding post players, but he was much better out on the wing, much more of a distributor, disruptor there. And so I don't know. Great call out there though, Gifty, because that doesn't make any sense.
Got to see it.
I'm excited to see the Magic this year for real. Like, I just can't wait to see how well KCP just flows and gels into that team, like offensively and defensively. Offensively specifically, because the one thing that they were missing offensively for me was like a consistent 3-point shooter. Like, their offense was stagnant a lot of the times in the postseason, kind of not really knowing what direction they wanted to go in, but Paolo was still able to get his shots off or whatever. But having a consistent, reliable 3-point option and a consistent perimeter threat in terms of offensively and defensively in KCP is that's exactly what they were really missing. Like, I remember seeing reports about Klay Thompson getting a deal or be in negotiations with the Magic because they needed a shooter. Well, they went ahead and got the best defender and shooter perimeter-wise on the Denver Nuggets, former champions. So like they struck it out of the park. They said, you know what, we need this. We're gonna go get this. You need money, they can't give it to you. We got you. Boom, boom. I cannot wait to see that. Cannot wait to see that team. I'm projecting 4 seed. I'm projecting 4 seed again.
I think the Orlando Magic can take a nice leap this year. I think when the addition of KCP, of course, health plays a huge part into that. I'm expecting Paolo Banchero to take another leap forward as well. I don't know. I really like the Orlando Magic team, and it sucks because so much of that team was built off pieces from my team. But, it is what it is. That's just the nature of how it goes in the NBA. So,
yeah.
So, but yeah. So, moving on from that, 19 minutes. And the reason why I say 19 minutes, I've never seen so many reactions and overreactions out of 19 minutes of preseason basketball as what I've seen from Zion Williamson's 19 minutes for the Pelicans yesterday. Have you guys seen? Is this just my Twitter feed? Has anybody else seen the crazy reactions of Zion Williamson and his health and everything from 19 minutes? Or is it just me?
My Twitter feed was really locked in on Memphis and all their injuries going on more than the Zion stuff. So please enlighten me on what they were saying, Hayes. I'm curious.
So, I wish I would pull up the exact tweets if I had time, but anywhere from, Zion Williamson is going to be running this offense all next year. Zion at the 5. It's the most exciting thing. Zion looks like he's in the best health of his career, which it does. But, like, are we really talking about Zion Williamson? The thing that confused me the most is them talking about Zion as a facilitator for what, 4 assists I think he had in the game? That's what we're doing now? Is that what we're doing? Is this where the place that has come to?
Okay, to be fair.
Okay, go ahead.
To be fair, facilitation for me is never about the end assists that you generate. It's about, are you providing efficiency to the half court? My problem with like gassing that role is you don't want to see Zion be your full-time 5 ever, because he's not a 5. He's not a rim protector. What I would be talking about is defensively, can he hold up doing this the whole season? We know the answer to that is no. I'm more concerned about what these lineups are going to be. What does a Brandon Ingram trade look like? And what are we trying to do? Because Brandon Ingram's player option is looming. And if they don't trade him, he could walk away for nothing. Zion's actually the last piece I would be thinking about outside of health. And also, yes, this is the best Zion has looked. I want to see this sustain itself for an entire season. I'm a huge Zion. I'm probably the biggest Zion fan up here, but we have not seen this man play a playoff game yet.
Yeah,
I'm waiting on that.
That's my biggest gripe with Zion. And it's been that way since he stepped into the league. I was just like, I hope that he stays healthy. As a matter of fact, I think Wemby relieved more fans who thought, oh my gosh, I hope he stays healthy in his rookie year than Zion did. And has done
That's a
in
fact.
the year since, right? Like Wembanyama, think about a player like Wemby, a 7'8", whatever, skinny twig 19-year-old kid. You're thinking the worst, but you're hoping for the best. With Zion, a player of that mass and size, it was the same exact thing, but he was the one that was busting out of his shoe and shit. So it became a situation where you look at it and you say, we haven't seen Zion Williamson in the playoffs. We've seen John Morant. We've seen Trae Young. We've seen Luka Doncic. We've seen Donovan Mitchell. Like, damn. We've seen all of these young guys that we looked at and we were like, we got to see what they can do. And we haven't been able to say that about Zion Williamson because we haven't been able to see it. Sucks, but I'm with Gifted on this one. It's something that has to be addressed, fixed, figured out. Him running the 5 is damn near criminal. Damn near. Because you just stretching it at that point. You just trying to move the goalposts all the way. Like, look what we can do. Bruh, that is not the right person to
and I want to be clear too, ZZ, right? The other part we got to keep in mind, even if this experiment works and they win a lot of games and they surprise everyone, I will die on the hill that Zion at your 5 position is very hard to win a championship with, regardless of all of that. You don't want to tax your player to that degree solely because of his injuries, because of his health. That doesn't make sense optically. So even if you do find success, that should not be the thing you're saying, oh yeah, let's build the whole team around that. No, because he's not a 5. That's not what it is.
That's a fact. Well, we said we had a guest at the top of the show, and we're going to go ahead and welcome him in now. We got Chilltown in the building. What's going on, Chilltown?
Fellas,
I'm
sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm late, guys. I apologize.
Hey, no worries, man. We were all late, to be honest with you. So it is what it is,
we were.
bro. How you doing, Chill?
Running good, brother. Running good. Season about to start. I don't really pay much attention to the preseason. I'll peek my head in from time to time. I'll catch a rookie or two, like this kid with the Charlotte Hornets, Salon. He looks better than what I thought. He can shoot the ball better than I thought, but I don't really pay a lot of attention to preseason because it's like football. I mean, you can appreciate this, Hayes, when you got a wide receiver coming in and he looks fantastic. I mean, okay, that's because he's going up against the dude that played at Kent State, the 3rd string. Okay, well, let's see what he looks like in week 3. When he's got to see some of the better cornerbacks in the league. So
that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's
honestly, I'm with you. Like, I don't really feed too much into summer league or preseason. However, I look for specific traits that I know will always transfer. Your IQ in terms of understanding how to play basketball, rebounding, and effort. Those are always things that translate if you look like you understand the speed of the game. But obviously, there's no real test compared to the actual season that will unfold on October 22nd. That's what we're all really waiting for.
Exactly.
I just want what I want is I want for these organizations, because we care a lot about winning, and winning does matter. But how do we get to winning? We get to winning by building a unit. And I would much rather these organizations, like basketball cities like Chicago, if you be honest with the people. If I told Hayes, I got Josh Giddey, I got Kobe White, and I got this kid Bacelis. This is who I'm building my unit around. We're not making the playoffs this year. But this is who I'm building my unit around, and we're gonna get there eventually. As opposed to, we got these 3 kids, we're making the playoffs next year. You're gonna be like, man, get the hell out of here! Like, why am I listening to this dude, Joe?
Yeah,
stop playing with me, man. If I'm honest with you and I tell you this is what it is, then okay, you're gonna get behind us, especially once you see the improvement, because you see these kids and you can grow with them, as opposed to what the Knicks were doing when every year they were telling everybody they're making the playoffs and they got 5 straight 50-loss seasons. And you wonder why people think you're a joke. You wonder why.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Absolutely.
I want to circle back to what we started off the show with, Chill, just to get your opinion on it. We were talking about the talk and the rumors around Jimmy Butler could be the next star traded in the NBA. What do you think about that? If the Miami Heat were to move on from Jimmy Butler, do you think that's the right decision? You think Pat Riley is making the decision that's best for the future of the franchise? Do you think that they should be looking to give Jimmy Butler that max contract he wants to stay here?
Well, Hayes, if you think about the guys who've been extended, Jamal Murray, Lauri Markkanen, when you think about the guys who've been extended, they've been extended. There hasn't been any nonsense with them. Yeah. And then you got guys like Julius Randle, who, the Knicks ain't really that sure. Pat Riley can't see himself at 36, 37, 38 years old paying Jimmy Butler $55 million. He can't see it. No, he can't. I was in the minority when I said that I'm ready to move off of buckets. I am in prime Bam years, and I not only am I in prime Bam years, I'm in peak Bam years, and I want to maximize this. And I think we've gone as far as we're going to go with buckets in the last 5 years. Because remember, when he got on the crew, he was 29 years old. In the last 5 years, we got an all-league performer. We got an all-league defender. We went to the East Finals 3 times. We went to the NBA championship twice. But what did it boil down to when you think about those series? When they played against the Lakers, my best player is better than your best player. That's what happened. When you think about when they played against Denver, my best player was better. As good as Denver was and everything that they were doing, it wasn't like Miami wasn't there to compete. Jimmy didn't do much in those NBA finals, which meant my best player is better than your best player. Ultimately, I've gotten everything that I'm going to get out of him. It's not like there's more there, and he's not going to take a backseat to Bam. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to hold up Bam's not only his production, but I don't want to hold up Bam's progression. And I'm in peak Bam years, and I don't know, ZZ, if you have a bunch of GMs in the league who'll pass on a 20-10 guy who's elite on the defensive end of the floor. I don't know how many GMs in the league would be like, yeah, I'm not really building my unit around that. I'm willing to bet that more times than not, if we're close, because if you consider what they have right now, Hayes, okay, so I think they got their 5-man and Ware. I think that's their guy. So I'm gonna move Bam to the 4. Okay. I think they got their small forward in Jaquez. I think that's their guy. I think Tyler Hero could be one of the better rotation guards in the league if he accepted that role. Yeah, like Manu Ginobili did. Like Jamal Crawford did. Right, like Lou Williams did. I think he'd be one of the better rotation guards in the game. And I'm still not a fan of Scary Terry. A lot of people think that I'm crazy.
A lot of people aren't fans of Scary Terry.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm crazy for that, but
it's cool.
See that right there? You heard what he just said? What Gifted just said?
He's
you
cool.
You know what that sound like? That sound like a chick that I'll hang out with you for a bit.
Yeah, that's what he is.
We can go on a date or two. Yeah, and she ain't bad looking. Am I marrying her? No, I'm not. Am I building anything with? Am I building anything with her? No, I'm not.
No.
But you know what? It's the summer. I'm in college. You dope to hang around for a little bit. I'm good with that. That's who Scary Terry is.
So I got one question for you, Chill, right? I hear you on the Bam stuff. I agree, right? This is the best we've seen Bam play so far. He's going to be entering his prime soon. My question is, do you think Bam is good enough to be that number one guy, though? Because I think Bam's a great player, but I still don't think we've seen Bam take over and control a series like we have for a player like Butler. I think Bam has shown many key moments for sure. But in terms of both ends of the basketball, I don't think he controls the game at that level. They've had success with Bam and Jimmy Butler because of both of their talents. I think the reason why you move off of him now is mainly because of his age, and you're not sure how badly his injuries, are there. Because after they beat the Bucks, he got hurt, and after that point, for the rest of the playoffs, including the finals against Denver, Jimmy Butler did not look like himself. Are you banking on that at a $50 million price tag? Probably not. But I don't think it's because you believe that Bam can be your best player. I do think he's the franchise player because he's younger. He's going to be there way longer, and his best years are in front of him. But can he really be that guy to you?
Well, that's another thing too, Chill. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like I told them earlier, if Jimmy ends up moving, which very well can happen, they can move up off of Butler because, like you said, you've had going on 5 years of this, multiple trips to the conference finals, multiple trips to the finals. You couldn't win the big one. Why is that? Because I told them the Heat were banking on how can we build this team to be the best team in the Eastern Conference, not how can we bank on building this team to withstand whatever could possibly come out of the Western Conference, i.e. the Los Angeles Lakers, i.e. the Denver Nuggets 2023. So that was my biggest thing with him was when you had to really go up against the big dogs in the Western Conference, quote unquote, you didn't have enough in the arsenal. And like Gifted said earlier, partially you can blame that on the fact that they were a low seed. So you weren't banking on Jimmy to do a lot in the regular season. And then you're banking on him and the role players to keep sparking it up for multiple rounds going deeper into the postseason. That's not as sustainable as having a high seed going through what the Celtics went through last year, right? So it's a tougher grind. But to my point earlier, if you move off of Jimmy, how long do you think Bam would stick around? Because somebody said in the chat earlier, Bam's trying to win now.
Yep.
Bam in that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with the way that the NBA is nowadays, shit, and how disgruntled a player can get, and if he don't get his way, it's the highway. Like, what you think?
Well, one of the things that Pat Riley has proven is that I'll get players in here to compete for an NBA championship. He's proven that, right? That's number one. Number two, ZZ, I don't buy the low seed thing. I mean, the year before when they lost in the Eastern Conference Championship when they lost in the Eastern Conference Championship to the Boston Celtics, they were the number one seed. And then when they lost in the finals to the Lakers, they were a top 5 seed. I think they were the 4 seed that year. So, I mean, the regular season, I mean, they do play in that. However, to your point, Gifted, when you talk about him being the best player, well, I think that's where the style of play has to change. Well, who are the Miami Heat? The Miami Heat, they have a 20-10 all-league defender. Well, that could be our mantra. Because if you think about what's going on with the Knicks, I mean, they don't have SGA. You know, they don't have Luka in terms of a 30-a-game guy like that. Their team is going to be built on grit, grind, and stopping people and get enough buckets. I feel like the same logic can be said for Bam. This team can be built on us being a dirty work, defensive-minded team where Bam can be more aggressive offensively because they run the offense to him anyway. He can be more aggressive as a scorer, and I think that that's sustainable for this crew. And let's not act like, winning a championship, it's as easy as, my best player is better than your best player. Well, there is some fortune that needs to go into that too. We do need to get lucky. And unfortunately, we don't have LeBron James or Anthony Davis or something like that. So, we do need some fortune on our side. But the way that this unit is being built, I do think, especially if your style of play changes, where Bam Adebayo is our guy and our mantra is built on what the Detroit Pistons were doing. We're a defensive-minded team. We defend, we rebound, we move the basketball, and we can score. But more importantly, we slowing everybody else down. Okay. I think Bam can be your guy, 100%. And on top of that, Gifted, to your point, I know how quickly guys can want out. And if you're talking about guys like wanting out, I mean, I think that's more likely in, Oklahoma City when Paul George was there when they were garbage. Like, how many guys are asking out of Miami when they're trying to do something?
Yeah. I was saying that earlier. Like, what Pat Riley has shown is that anytime a star player wants out of somewhere, no matter what happens, Miami's name is somewhere in that conversation. They don't wind up getting these guys, but if Jimmy Butler is gone, they will have cap space to go and chase another. That'll be there for them. My only thing with Bam is I think the difference between the Knicks, the Heat, and then also Oklahoma is that Shea is a very ball-dominant guard who has a good grip of defensive players and talent around him. Jalen Brunson is ball-dominant in that same fashion. They just don't have a guy that can organize their offense consistently at the point guard spot. I think if they had got like a stronger player, maybe a Trae Young for Butler swap, that's not going to happen, but just having some type of guy who can maximize Bam to put him in those spots to be aggressive with the ball, I think they can have a ton of success. Like, I'm not so married to keeping Jimmy Butler. I do think that their best core is with him right now, but a player that's aging, paying Jimmy Butler $50 million a year for a player that does not have the same production in the regular season, where year after year after year, it's okay, they're going to be there. They're going to basically sleepwalk all the way through the regular season. Okay, it's playoff time. Let's go. But then when you're out in the second round, it doesn't hit as much. It just doesn't. So
over the last 10 years, Buckets has been active, I think 60 games a season over the last 10 years. That's what you're getting out of Jimmy Butler.
And you need more than that.
Yeah. That's who he is.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me ask you this question, Chill, just to throw this before we get ready to wrap up. Is that with the Bam?
Chat too, Hayes.
Okay, yeah, we'll get the super chat. With Bam, is there any concern that you end up finding out that Bam Adebayo is a player that you build with, not necessarily a player that you build around, especially if they move on from Jimmy Butler?
I think he's a cornerstone piece. I'm not.
Okay.
He ain't Shaq. Okay. He's not Shaq. But I think he's more in that Alonzo Mourning mold with what they had in the early 2000s with Mourning and Eddie Jones and Tim Hardaway. That team wasn't that far away, right? When they, not Eddie Jones, I'm sorry, when they had Eddie and Dwayne Wade and Lamar Odom and Alonzo Mourning. I don't feel like that team was that far away in the East from really challenging for the NBA. Really challenging to get to the NBA championship. I'm not sure if they would have beat the Lakers because Shaq was too much. But I mean, I really felt like they weren't that far away. I feel like Bam could be in that mold where they can really challenge. I really feel like they could challenge with Bam. I think that they're a De'Aaron Fox kind of lead guard away from really challenging in the Eastern Conference. That's why I'm ready to move off of buckets. Because like I said, ZZ, it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
We in those 5 years, this is what we got out of Jimmy Butler. And this isn't Jimmy Butler who's, 31 or 32 years old. He just turned 35. How many more of these
35 years old? Yeah.
How many more of these years do I have in buckets? Maybe 1 or 2 tops.
Yeah.
And I can't see at 38 years old on a contract extension paying him $55 million. I can't see Pat Riley can't see himself doing that.
Now why he's already started declining. That just doesn't make any sense. So
yeah.
And he don't play enough. On top of that. It's bad enough your game is going the other way, but I can hardly
That's what it is.
to show up to work.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pay $55 million. Hell no, I ain't doing that.
No, and his team isn't good enough routinely to be like, they can't get away with, every year we're the 6th seed, but all of our talent, we have the best head coach, we win. Like, that's really basing all of your success on the playoffs, which then if you get injured during the playoffs, it doesn't amount to anything. Sometimes having a higher seed gives you that luxury to play weaker teams that are going through more than you are. You don't want to, bro, year after year, I would say we're like, maybe the past 50 years, top 3 seeds win. If you're not top 3, you're probably not going to win. There's only a couple teams, right? The 1995 Rockets are the exception where if you're not a top 3 seed, you can go all the way.
Yeah.
You got to be top 3. So that needs to be their goal.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We got a super chat in here from Arch 2 of one of 10 arches. Since Bam greater than Tatum and Gifted not entering prime years, already prime years.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be like a hater, but if we're saying this is prime Bam, then he can't be a 1. If we're saying prime Bam, I'm trying to give him grace.
Because what is Bam? 29, 28,
27. He's only
27. Oh, he's 27. He's 27. Okay, yeah. So he's still literally smack dab.
Did he turn 27?
I
think he's still.
I might have read it
if he did or not.
I might have read it wrong.
Yeah,
I'm blind.
I think he's 26.
Sorry. If he's 26, then you're banking on the next 3 years and then what he has at the age of 30. At that point, you're hoping that his game is polished to the degree of like a 30-year-old, even a 30-year-old Julius Randle had a polished game to an extent offensively, right?
Now remember what we're talking about too, Gifted. I mean, there's a difference between prime years and peak years. I think we're entering peak years of Bam. We've seen, I think we're on the other side. I still think we're in prime years of Giannis, but I think we've already seen peak Giannis.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I think we might have seen peak Giannis. Well, maybe we might still be in peak Giannis years. I'm not sure, but I'm 100% confident.
Let me ask you this question. So, how long? Because here's the thing: when I was in middle school, I remember reading prime years and thinking to myself, I remember when LeBron was first considered in his prime. It was either right before
you can't use
Miami.
James is
right. No, James got to be something else.
You can't use him.
So here's where I'm going with this.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
James, Curry, Durant, Harden, even Russell Westbrook to an extent when he reached his early 30s, when he was with the Wizards, right, was still a productive player, triple-double merchant, triple-double machine still.
Yep.
When you look at a player like all the players I just mentioned, when they got to that 30, 31, 32 range, you saw a maturity in their game to the point where everything seemed perfectly polished. You have a situation even with guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, when they were in their early 30s, you saw the peak years, but then what you got was the maturity years. A player like Bam Adebayo, the one thing that they probably would want from him is like they're probably wishing that, because Bam isn't the offensive player that even Anthony Davis is at his position, right? So it's like you're going to want to see a more polished mid-range game, a more consistent like go-to moves, and probably even stretching him out to the three-point line if he's going to be the number one option. There's going to be a lot of action that you're probably going to try to run with him. The question is, will he be as polished as either of those players that I mentioned? Even like I said earlier with Julius Randle, like guys at that age, when they are more polished, that's where you can get the best bang for your buck. Defensively, he's going to be fine, barring all injury. But offensively, are you really relying on Bam's game to flourish out in those like latter half of your prime years?
Right.
You know, that's my question.
And I don't know if he can if you're in the same league as a Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Shea, Joel Embiid. I just don't think he's that caliber of offensive player.
He's not that good.
Right.
However, again, if you're building this unit, to his strengths. He's an elite defensive player.
True.
Yes.
Right? He's not a good defensive player. He's an elite defensive player. So if I'm building my unit around an elite defensive player who can score, and not only who can score, we very rarely see Bam not on the floor. So Bam is durable. So if I'm building my unit around an elite defensive player who can score, what do I want to get? Okay, I kind of want to speed the game up a little bit more. I want to get faster point guards, right? I want to get wings who can stretch the defense. I want to get more of a dirty work big man, right? A guy that I can go to on the box for buckets and maybe in the mid post for buckets. I still feel like, and I may be in the minority with this, but I still don't feel like Bam has been unlocked. I know what you're talking about, ZZ, because
I agree.
What you're telling me is that the game hasn't slowed down for these guys like it did for Jordan. Jordan, the game slowed down for him in 1986. Not only because he was slower, because he was still ridiculously athletic, but the game slowed down for him, right? The game slowed down for guys like James Harden and James,
Kobe,
right?
And later in his career.
Yes, the game. I saw the game different, sure. But when I think about Bam's skill set, I mean, if we're being honest, fellas, they do run their offense through Bam.
They do.
He's their pick and pop guy. He's their DOH guy. He's their guy that they go. He's their guy that they run their offense through primarily.
But the only problem I have with that though, Chill, is that is true for a regular season size.
Sure.
When the Heat have been at their best, is going through Jimmy.
Yeah.
At their best.
That part I won't argue. And maybe one of the reasons why you haven't seen Bam like that
is because
Jimmy's
of that.
There. It's because Jimmy's there. And again, I feel like we've gotten everything that we're going to get at a bucket. So maybe if we moved off of him, we could unlock this other part of buckets. I mean, I'm sorry, this other part of Bam.
Facts.
It's a possibility. And that could be something that Pat Riley's looking at. And if he does move on from Jimmy Butler, is maximizing and putting Bam in a position where you can see the best out of Bam and maybe uncover something in his game that hasn't been there yet. So I'm mad at it.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, fellas?
Nope.
Sorry I'm late. That's it. Just sorry I'm late. That's about it.
I'm just excited for NBA basketball, man. We got a whole new season coming up. There's a lot of question marks about these players, how good they'll be, the fits, trade. Like there's just so much, right? Karl Anthony Towns being in New York with that pressure on him to win a title officially. It's gonna be fun basketball to watch. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Go Mets. Let's go, boys. Go Mets.
Go Mets, huh? Okay.
That's hilarious.
Yes,
that is
sir.
hilarious.
Go Tigers.
But yeah, definitely exciting season ahead, man. A lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot of storylines, a lot of parity as well around, especially I think the Eastern Conference, the race in the Eastern Conference is going to be a dog to just watch those teams that come out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chill. Before we go, just a quick question to you. Who, if you had to pick a surprise team in the East and West in each conference, who would be those teams before we get out of here?
I'm already on record. I think Houston's a top 5 team this year in the Western Conference.
Okay.
And in the Eastern Conference, I think it's the usual suspects, but none of you dudes, and y'all think I'm crazy with this. None of y'all talking about Cleveland like y'all should.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, so you might be one of those.
I respect
Cleveland.
I respect Cleveland for sure.
I'm in the minority. I'm on record saying that, and like a lot of the stuff that I say, I don't say it intending to jump out the window, but I go off of what I've seen. And I would not be surprised to see Cleveland in the East Finals this year. That would not surprise me if I saw them in the East Finals.
I told
I'm
them
not gonna lie to
before,
you. You say Cleveland. I be talking about Charlotte.
he
A
bad.
lot of people off when I say that.
Yeah, that's like low key Charlotte. Charlotte.
Yeah, I
low-key.
think that's one we all agree
Yeah,
with here.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Charlotte,
man,
if I know it's
That's
a big
from the logo's
if,
pick.
but if LaMelo Ball can stay healthy, like
Mhm.
if he can say and be healthy at the right times, I do think that Charlotte Hornets team could make some noise in the Eastern Conference.
Hayes, you ever seen that meme with the little kid tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and it's
That's
fair.
what I feel like
It's
with,
fair.
with that's what I feel like with LaMelo Ball. Is this kid made of glass? Because I seen the All-Star, I seen the 20-8 guy.
I agree.
And
I agree with that.
I know what he's capable of. The question is can you hold up? That's it.
Yeah.
That's
it.
the biggest question mark. We didn't talk about that a few times, but tell you what, from the logo pick, Charlotte, Chilltown pick, Cleveland. Get with it.
For sure.
We'll see what happens, man.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for PC's editors to get on their shit and drop that video because
What is
Chilltown-
everybody keeps hyping this video? I need to see the video. Where is the video? Do y'all need me to edit it? I'll edit it. Where's the video?
Hey, Hayes is hilarious.
First of all, what I didn't know is I did not know that Weezy had a flamer. I did not know that. I did not know that ZZ got a flamer. Okay. Don't. You might have to move the basket up a little
Please
bit.
tell me somebody stuffed Mars as well. Like somebody had to block Mars.
Mars was guarding Chill.
Mars was guarding Chill. Chill, you got cooked by Mars?
I did not. No.
Okay, all right.
No.
I did not.
No,
All right,
Chill
man,
was swiping with a mean. I'm talking about like George Gervin, Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Really?
On camera.
Good little up and under. That was nice for
That's
sure.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Man.
Telling you.
That's funny. That's funny. I'll be at the next PC weekend. I won't miss it again, man.
Yes, sir.
Listen, it's tough. Most people don't know this. I don't really talk about my personal life a lot. I'm a single father. My kid's mother doesn't lives 500 miles away. It's just me and these babies. So when Dave kept trying to hit me up to come, I'm like, bro, I promise you I would if I could. My oldest is gone in college now, so it's just me and the little ones. But I'm gonna be there next year, even if I gotta bring out young Hayes, little Hayes with me. So,
yeah.
Word. Okay. Word.
So.
Because Dale had his little man with him.
Yep, Lil Dale was there.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
Dale had his little man with him. So
come get this work at Domino's too while you at it.
Listen, you may cook me in dominoes. Ain't nobody beat me in spades as long as I have a halfway decent partner. Is all I'm saying.
Yes,
You got spades. I ain't gonna lie. For sure.
But all right, man. We thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of From the Logo. We apologize a little bit shorter than normal. We will be back on time next week, and we'll be going to 3 days a week here shortly. We need to sit down with the team and discuss when that's going to happen. But be on the lookout for that, fellas. Go ahead and give them your socials. Let's get the hell up out of here.
you guys know
Yep. For me, I'm working on basketball content as always at Gifted Hoops on YouTube. I'm going to be going through some preseason film in the next coming of days. I'm also trying to get all the 30-team podcasts out before the season starts. So I'm in grind mode. I've been sick the past week, but we're getting back into the swing of things. Appreciate y'all. Y'all can go tap in there.
you guys know where to find me at. I'm not hard to find, so it's not difficult to find me. So
Y'all know where to find Chill, Gifted, and myself. I'm not posting shit for the preseason because personally I don't care. But
I really don't, ZZ. I don't.
I don't care.
Really don't.
Like LeBron and Bronny combined for 19 the other night. Do I care? No.
Not moved at all. No.
And Bronny had 0. They like I don't care. I'm not even gonna make a video about it. Why? Because I'm waiting to see. I really hope Bronny pans out. I do. I think he's going to G League. This is my last little thing. I think going to G League. Good form, right? Good form. Dalton Connect. That boy right there. That boy Cole.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That boy Cole. But yeah. Peace out, y'all.
Later.
All right. Later, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Eat it, hater.
Later.
Peace out, people. Have a good one.
Later.